Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. Mike is back. It is Tuesday, January 4th. In this episode, Lukaku gets in his feelings. City win the league twice in a weekend. But first, Mike, you were in love with Tops. How do you feel about going back to Tops? Do you think you never wanted to be where you are now, or are you okay with where you are now? You just took the money and went where you wanted to go. Like, how do you handle that? Are you gonna just have a press conference and tell everyone how you're feeling about your old job?
No, I want everyone at the executive level to be fired, tarred, and feathered, and that's kind of how I'll always feel about that company. But you feel the same way.
No, I was trying to go for a more like you're Lukaku and you want to go back.
Oh. Should we start the show over? Because I had no fucking idea
it's
what
fine.
you were talking about.
Just keep going. My bit didn't work because it wasn't good.
I think you know what's weird, friends? We talk about what we're going to talk about before we hit record, and then we're like, "What the fuck?" Anyway? No, I'm so interested because I'm looking at his stat line right now. Thanks for the great segue, and I just don't get it. Like, he was better on teams that had literally nothing but him. And anytime he was around a lot of talent at Chelsea, at United, now again at Chelsea, he's shit. He's by the way, he's not. We talked about it last week when he had that thundering run and put everybody laid waste to people like he was a super villain.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He catches too much shit. Like, there's too much expected of him. In this respect, Tuchel doesn't want to play with a striker, then why did you buy $100 million striker?
So let's get into it. Let me do the scores, and then we'll go deep into Lukaku. The less talked about my attempted bit, the better, and we'll go into it. So first, the scores. We start the weekend with City defeating Arsenal 1-2. Narrative of this game is Arsenal were the greatest team ever that never beat United and that never beat City, and City won 2-1, and all the penalties were against Arsenal. This was a crowning of Arsenal, even though they lost. Tottenham beat Watford. I watched this game. This game was terrible, but Davinson Sanchez, who, along with Mora, is the number one revivalist, and Dyer for Tottenham. Tottenham have been great. 3-2 Palace versus West Ham. This was Palace playing great, West Ham stealing it, then really stealing it, then Crystal Palace coming back, then beloved Brentford a smash and grab against Aston Villa. This is Gerrard's first moment where you feel like, hey, maybe you should have won that game, but you didn't. XG says Brentford have 0.6 and Villa have 1.2. So Villa dominate that game, but didn't win. In a battle of the relegation battles, I kind of knew this would happen. Leeds defeats Burnley 3-1. Leeds are good against terrible sit-in teams. That's their whole MO. And then my beloved Brighton crush Everton. They were fantastic. XG says they didn't crush them. They fucking crushed them. So Brighton go into freaking Goodison and get the win. But the game of the day, and segueing into our I'll do Wolves 1, Manchester United 0. United are not better. They're the same.
We need to dive into that later in the show.
Yeah, but the game of the weekend is 2-2 Liverpool. We've got Lukaku. We've got the best half of the season. We've got up and down and fighting and Pulisic, and Liverpool back to their swashbuckling pre-Van Dijk, pre-Alisson days. But that's not going to get it done. And City win the weekend with the 2-2 draw at Stamford Bridge. And we go into Lukaku, and we go into 2-2 Liverpool-Chelsea. A good game, to be fair.
Which looked, how many times have you seen Salah and Mane just put the screws to teams? I actually think it was one of our first episodes with the Kepa game against Mane last year.
Yeah.
This looked like it could have been 5-0. And it, for all rights, it could have been even worse than that. But full marks to Chelsea for fighting back.
I disagree. I thought that Liverpool got goals. Yes. One was a mistake. Salah's was incredible. But I thought that Chelsea were pretty good. and really playing well,
Sure.
but down 2-0. And then they got the Kovacic goal, which completely turned the team around.
Right. And let's be very clear about this. That goal, like,
that's a 1,000,000-to-1 goal.
It's not a, like, I don't want to shit on Kovacic. He scored a worldie, right?
Yeah.
He meant to do that. Look at how the ball strikes, the foot strikes the ball there.
Yeah.
Like, it's so awkward that it worked out, right? And it's kind of tailing far and away from the goal, which it would make sense based on the angle you hit it. But like, yeah, very, very strange. But to your point, when the up 2-0, that's been the MO many times. Like, Liverpool has looked suspect, but they just keep going and going and letting on and all that. So Mendy stood tall for what he could, kept them in it, gave them a shot. They get a bounce, and all of a sudden, I mean, porous midfield from Liverpool. I mean,
God, they were awful in the midfield.
Who had the pass to Pulisic? Was it Kovacic?
I don't. You know what? I can actually look that up. The pass to Pulisic was.
I bet you it was Conte.
We have got both moves. It was Conte from Rudiger to Conte. Yes, it was a little flip over the top. Conte was incredible. Both he and Kovacic were just magnificent. To be honest,
looked like
they were just so good.
I think that was where Konate was. Yeah, that was Konate's spot. And you know, they talked about how Matip wasn't there in the open. Like, you felt him on that goal, because it's not even just like Pulisic ran past him. It's that he had 30 yards to be like, I'm fucking really open right now.
Yeah.
And great finish by Pulisic as well. And
he had missed a couple that the Chelsea faithful were not pleased with him.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the one thing that's interesting about this game is it was the first safe standing game officially in the Premier League in 25 years. It got the okay from the great and powerful sainted Liverpool supporters trust, who, you know, they wear the weight of the 96/98 who were killed at Hillsborough. So they said it was okay. And people had been standing anyway. But the anecdotes from the reporters at the game was that it changed the energy of the game, that it was loud, that it was an intense atmosphere. And the way that both teams played in the first half was an intense, I don't even know the season, a 17-18 version of Liverpool.
Right.
Because
it was a frenetic back and forth experience. But let's be very clear. This is a heavyweight battle between two of the best teams in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are going to bring it for that game. Every time.
It had extra. It had extra. Although there was no Allison, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Gallagher.
Yeah.
I have an anecdotal. He looks like a transitioned woman. Or man. I don't know how you say it, but he's got this soft face, this clearly testosterone injection beard, and his hair is so soft, and he looks like a woman who's a man who became a man and a goalkeeper.
Speaking of science experiments,
very strange looking.
Also, no Klopp for Liverpool, which
no Klopp,
certainly.
But
mattered.
it was still played in a Kloppian manner. I didn't feel like
it's not like they're going to change their. It's hard to quantify how much a manager or a coach missing in these times actually manifests itself into results or parts of results or a play or whatever. I'm certain it's not zero, but it's hard to really quantify beyond that.
On FB reference, they have the manager listed as dummy because they don't have the information, which is pretty funny. But I do have to go back to one thing which I totally forgot. In the first 20 seconds of the game, you had a controversy.
Mm-hmm.
Mane does smash his arm into Azpilicueta's face. He gets a yellow. There's no VAR check, or there is a VAR check.
But I just want to know why they didn't pin him down in the post-match press conference and go, "Hey, explain yourself. Why wasn't that a red card?" Because they do that to Harry Kane every fucking time something like that happens.
Well, they don't interview Mane because he doesn't speak English, I don't think.
Yeah, well,
I think
Harry Kane barely speaks English.
I think the English players get a lot of, or players who speak English well have to actually do a lot of talking that they probably don't want to do. I'm glad it wasn't a red. Who the fuck wants a red in the first minute of the game? It was a forearm. I don't. So I don't want to talk about all this stuff as this thing, but just as a general thing, I don't believe that the founders and the controllers and the creators of these games intended the rules to be applied by the letter of the law. I think it was intended to be applied by the referee in the discretion of a game to ensure that this gentlemanly contest was played in a fair manner. And as the history of these leagues has gone on and become more professional and more professional, are you ready for the stat of the day that's going to blow your mind? The first cards only came out in 1970 at the World Cup. There were no cards before that.
Yeah.
So this idea that, oh, this is a red, it's always been a red. This is always not true. Football was played with referees simply refereeing without any conversation with the stands or the fans. And were there famous games where there were fights on the field? Yeah, there were. But the idea but this professionalism of football trying to connect with flow and 24-hour coverage and slow down and slow-mo, it doesn't work. Nobody wants reds in the first 5 minutes of the game. Nobody wanted the fucking Harry Kane ball to be a red. I would have much rather watched that Champions League final that you had without that penalty and a red in the first minute of the game. Like
37 seconds, by the way.
Because that is not what we want.
It isn't.
We want accuracy that is a representation of the game we want to see, not these are the rules and this is what the infractions are.
Because
otherwise, why bother?
Because Liverpool Spurs was a really fun game.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Liverpool was I'd argue for at least half of it, an even more fun game.
Yeah.
And what we got out of that listen, you don't like Liverpool, I don't like Chelsea, whatever. But as neutrals, relatively speaking, it was you couldn't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And that is why you watch these things, right? It is for entertainment.
Yeah.
It is entertainment. And
it's more and less. It's the least important thing in the world.
Of course. And you brought it up, so now I have to. But like, you talk to any self-respecting Tottenham supporter, and they won't be mad that we lost to Liverpool in the Champions League final. We're upset that we never got a fair shot, and that's the thing that like we expected to lose that game. We had hope. I mean, we had a miracle of miracles going into this fucking thing. We could do anything, but it was taken away from us before we even got a chance to sip a beer and enjoy it. Right.
It's not the same, but it's the same. It's not the same, but it's sort of the same feeling that City fans have. It's just like, why'd you not play Fernandinho? Why'd you play Fernandinho in that?
Well,
yeah.
But
you know what I mean? Like,
a little more self-inflicted.
But give me the opportunity to see the team that I expect. Right. Like, give me a chance. Don't cut my legs out before the game starts. Yeah. It was a great game. Very fantastic. Worth watching the first half for anyway. Chelsea really popped the ball around. Mistakes were made. Chalobah, I don't know what he was doing. He did something weird. The Salah goal is
Chalobah, it's interesting. It's almost like there's this new trend of knee-high balls that are coming at a player. And I saw Robertson finish a goal before the Gordie Howe hat trick against Tottenham. He finished it with his head, and it was like, dude, you can use your feet. What the fuck are you doing?
Because Mike, did you know I played soccer for 1 month?
I did.
It's really hard to know what to do.
Well, I mean, I get the feeling, and I'm look at me.
Like you decide to use your head, and all of a sudden you're halfway on the ground.
Right. Look at me with my fat ass, criticizing world-class football players, but at the same time, like, I guess he probably thought, if I can't play it back with my foot to my keeper, so I'm going to try and like head it towards him so we can kind of take the pin out of this.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess. But like, look, I mean, it was a shit decision, and it ended up in the back of his end. I thought he played really pretty well for the most part of the game after that, which I was happy to see. Again,
Chalobah.
Yeah. I frankly dislike both teams. I wanted them to draw, but at the same time, like, I don't want to fucking see that kid, get buried like that at home.
No.
So I was happy to see him have at least a decent run of it out there.
Yeah.
I thought Alonso was typical really,
active.
really
He was
aggressive.
He was just part of the whole game.
Everywhere, just drunk driving everywhere in the field.
Yeah, looking handsome. No sweat on him at all. Pulisic sweating,
not a drop.
and he's just perfect.
Jota
basically
is
he's Perseus from Clash of the Titans, the 1981 version.
Okay.
Harry Hamlin. He's very Harry Hamlin.
Jota
he was anonymous in that game.
I thought he was all right early on. He had a couple of really good passes to Salah, but like it's almost as if like you can't have all three singing at the same time.
No. Well, I think in that game they were getting killed in the midfield. That was a game they needed Firmino.
Yes.
So bad. Like,
yes, they did.
Deathly needed Firmino because Milner and Henderson were just getting
Milner got absolutely decimated.
He just couldn't get near anybody.
No,
and I think that's one of the weird things. It's a great game. It was a Conte game. It was a Kovacic game. Petered out in the second half. It felt like it petered out more than it did because there was a lot going on in the second half, but the energy was gone. And then I think there was a little bit of a realization at the end of the game that they're both fucked because City, as we transition into the Arsenal game, that was ridiculous narrative game as well. As we transition into that game, they both knew that they had to win to stay in it. We probably shouldn't transition away from Lukaku yet. Lukaku should have been in this game. For those who don't know, we kind of touched on it really quickly. Essentially, Lukaku got in trouble because of a interview he did with Sky Italy, where he basically does like the Italian, I love you, baby. I want to come home. He want to go back to Inter. He wanted to go back. I love you, Inter. I want to go back. Why am I at the Chelsea? I want to go back at the Inter. So that's basically what he does in his broken Congolese, Belgian, Italian. He basically professes his love for Inter. He wants to go back. He somewhat complains about Tuchel, but not too bad. Just,
it wasn't that bad.
I want to play a certain way. And Tuchel really puts the hammer down and it's just like, you know what? Fuck you. You're not playing. They needed him. And that was a mistake.
Well, yes. I mean, if you're bringing on Callum Hudson-Odoi, you need to bring on Romelu Lukaku, right?
Because like we said before, they have 6 guys that are the same.
Yeah. And that was the thing is that like you finally have that striker. But it's almost as if he is so much happier having Havertz in the false 9.
Dude, Havertz was awful.
Yeah. But he is streaky as shit.
Yes, he just shows up and gets his goal and you're like, "Oh, Havertz did something." I thought Pulisic was good. I thought Mount he's Chelsea's best player, to be honest. Pulisic was active and did that same thing where he just holds the ball for a fraction too long and gets clattered, and you're like, oh, that's why you get hurt all the time. You're like a shit version of Neymar, who just gets crunched. You're like, dude, just let it go. So Pulisic had a couple of good chances and did get his goal. But I didn't think Havertz did much. They're all the sort of same player, these sort of buzzy guys that needs a focal point. Listen, and without Lukaku, Chelsea just don't have that.
A couple minutes I talked about how Pulisic was wide open down the middle and walked to that really nice finish right before halftime. Right?
Oh, and then Gallagher had that one save early.
Yeah.
He took that extra touch when that trans guy did the save that I talked about.
But if you have Pulisic in that role, right? And going back to what we talked about at the top with like Lukaku having that menacing beast run. Listen, you want to punish him? Don't start him, right?
But keep him in the
fold because
you
see Konate, you see the whites of his eyes. He's fucking worried out there.
And they're all exhausted. Can you imagine bringing Lukaku on after
that's what I'm saying.
They're fucking dead in the water?
When did they bring on Hudson-Odoi? I don't remember exactly.
I have it here. Odoi comes on 79. Wow.
If you bring in Lukaku for the last 10, 15 minutes of that game,
he scores a goal.
Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but he certainly puts Van Dijk and Konate under a shit ton of duress.
By the way,
I don't know.
Van Dijk's not as good anymore.
It's not starting him. I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
You need all your guys. You need all your dicks swinging in the same direction. All right. Yeah. I get that. But you fucking slap him on the wrist. You pull him into the back room. You go, don't you fucking do that to me again. I have to have a show of strength. We're good here now, right?
Yeah.
You sit his ass down. He becomes a storyline for the first half, and you bring him on.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, he cut off his nose to spite his face.
Yep.
Basically. And now they're all Drew and, listen. And this goes into, do we want to, I think we go into City, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal narrative here is Arsenal were fantastic for 40 minutes.
What a shame.
But you know what? I watched it back and City were really good. It's just City getting dominated is a 50-50 game because City performances are always 70-30. Yeah. So yes, Arsenal played well. I did not like the calls that we got. I didn't want to win that game that way, but Granit Xhaka's a moron and he pulled someone's shirt, and Bernardo knows what to do if you pull your shirt. And the other one is the Odegaard foul from Ederson. He stepped on Ederson. It was super close. The ref made the call. It's not a call you overturn. It just isn't. Right. So what do you, everything, like there's a lot of narrative about the referees being terrible. The fact is, under the cold light of day, 48 hours later, all the calls were right. So yeah, I don't know what to say, but apparently, and I didn't see this, the commentators in England for that game were Steve McManaman, who's a Liverpool legend, and Martin Keown, who is just like Arsenal lifer, and they're just like annihilating City, just like they're destroying football in the commentary. Like, this is a disgrace. They're like, this is the kind of shit that City fans have to go. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theory person. I get it. The fact is, City's narrative is not compelling. We're not a top 4 fan base in the world. We're not a top 4 fan base in England.
Relatively speaking, dog shit compared to City over the last decade, and yet it doesn't matter. There's just not enough historical value there.
No. And we're not a legacy club. I get it. But you know what? In 30 years, when we have all the glory and you haven't won and you're holding on to 2004, good luck. Enjoy it.
Have fun with that, asshole.
We're going to win 5 leagues in 7 years.
I'm trying to find who was the other loss.
I think it's 7 and 11. What?
Oh, it was Palace.
Right.
Okay.
Gallagher.
So we're going to talk about the 2 losses that Manchester City has, and then we're going to compare it statistically to what that valiant Arsenal performance was. October 30th, Crystal Palace 2, an early goal from Zaha and a late one from Gallagher. This is the game where Laporte gets sent off, I think right before or right after halftime.
After.
And it all kind of just unravels from there. They get a late one, whatever. Yeah. Even with 10-man Manchester City, 68% possession. Palace, 32%. 3 shots on target. Again, playing a full half of football with an extra man. 3 shots on target. Okay. They win 2-0. All right. That's nice. August 15th, El Doucoure part 1 for the year. Opening day, no Harry Kane, right? For Spurs against City.
I remember well.
We talked about how the stadium came alive and how great it was and all that stuff. So North London versus Manchester City part 1. Shots on target, 3. Possession, 34%. Spurs win 1-0. Spurs were gritty. They were great at, but they were lucky to get the win, right? And we talked about it. That, Loris made some amazing saves early, kept them in the game. They get their goal and they locked it down. They did what they needed to do. R.I.P. Nuno.
The good old days.
The good old days. January 1st, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 2. Okay. Arsenal, 2 shots on target, 7 total, 28% possession. I mean, okay. They go up early.
But what about the first half? They were hitting us. It was a break thing. It was Saka and Martinelli. Listen, I watched the game. City were in trouble. They were on the ropes. By the way, XG, City do not have a loss in XG.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
Their loss to Palace was a draw. It was 1.1 each.
By the way, again, with a man down for the fucking entire second half. Yeah. So you're going to tell me that of those 3 games, of the ones I just described to you, in fact, I shouldn't have told you the scores, right? Yeah. That Arsenal was a valiant effort in defeat. It sounds like Liverpool redux. It's like...
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is just, it's all narrative. It's all context, right? Liverpool in the first 3 games of the season, Arsenal get annihilated. Every time they play a Big Six team, they get destroyed. And
Right.
City had put 5 on them. It
Right.
was the narrative was a coming of age game, right?
Boy,
We're here. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not.
No, it is. You're absolutely right. It's very unfortunately real, but I just find it
annoying.
So no, not even, just amusing from such a banter club that has the balls to sit here and say, hey, you guys beat City on opening day, right? Like without Harry Kane, put it in the trophy case. Like, suck my dick. You're doing the exact same fucking thing. So I don't want to hear it from you fucking worthless lot, because you like, you know what? 2-1 City win. Oh, put it in the trophy case, douchebags.
It was great. It was great to get the goal late. City didn't play well. They didn't deserve it. Like, we never get, the thing is, City don't get this win. This is not the type of games we win. We fuck them up and lose and whatever.
Let's talk about injury time for a second.
But Rodri going into the Arsenal end and taking his shirt off and just shit flying out the
Fuck you. Oh,
that's so Rodri. Not City. It was so great.
Oh, it was so personal.
Yeah, he was like,
so
fuck you.
It was, dare I say, it had hints of Neil Maupay.
Yes, my guy, Neil Maupay. Legend.
It did. And so we talk about
injury
time.
Maupay, you're right.
Talk about extra time for a second. Rodri, 93rd minute winner, right, to beat Arsenal. Meanwhile, just down the road, Davinson Sanchez in the 96th minute saves Tottenham's bacon. Well, they were away, but I forget what doesn't matter. And now Spurs are 2 points behind Arsenal with 2 games in hand for 4th place. So how about you guys chew on that one for a little bit?
Top 5 world coach.
Right, with Conte. So do me a favor, Gunners, if you've made it to this point in the show, which I'm so confident you haven't, even though I've sat on the fact that I fucking hate your existence to this point. Suck my balls, because there's 2 points separating you and me, and we can duff both of these games and draw them, and we're still going to be ahead of you. We're still going to be ahead of you.
Let's just keep in mind right now in the XG per 90, Tottenham
are
now in the top 4.
Yeah, right.
At a half a goal per game.
Right, absolutely.
So you're actually on quality of performances.
Sure.
In the top 4.
And this goes back to what we've said a handful of times over the course of the first 4 months of the season, is that there's no such thing as a 4th place team this year. There's only a bunch of 7th place teams. And unfortunately, one of them has
to put it more positively, there's a bunch of 4th place teams.
No,
and no
because
7th place
that
teams.
alleges that one of these teams belongs in Champions League, and none of them fucking do. Okay?
Yeah, but you're as good as a bad germ. But the thing is, I take umbrage with that, because if Tottenham get into the Champions League, they will spend the money to get a Champions League-ish squad.
Oh, how foolish you are, Laurent.
And speaking of Champions League squads, we should talk about Man United, who played today and got their asses kicked. That was the biggest ass kicking of a 1-goal game
in a while. Like, and from a team
that does not attack, that sucks.
That doesn't attack, and additionally can't finish. Right? We've talked about it all year. Are they the worst team?
They're the opposite of Maupay.
They're the the 3rd worst goal return so far this year.
Yes, they are bad.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
2nd best defense as well, obviously, which is why they are where they are. But
why they where they are.
I mean, we talked at length about how Adama Traore couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat.
He came on. He caused the problem.
He always causes problems. He just doesn't cause problems that end up with the score being changed.
Yeah, I think the Jimenez thing for them is really bad. Like, he can't.
I thought he was better today.
He was taking shots, but he was. I don't know. He feels like there's, but the thing was that the Ragnick thing's not working. There was no Bruno Fernandes. Like, United were Ole-ish at best.
Yeah.
The other cool part of this is, like, Phil Jones out of the fucking wilderness comes back after 2 years, injured, whatever, broken legs, takes Harry Maguire's place, and it was their best player. Yeah. Like, he was all over it. He did a classic Phil Jones face on the floor, boot to the face thing with the crazy face. He does that. Ronaldo does nothing. United are still fluttering and flustering. I'm surprised, frankly. I thought that Rangnick would grab something out of this team. Maybe he's not the right coach. Maybe he needs to be at under 23 teams. Maybe he's more of a technocratic kind of guy, and maybe United need inspiration. I don't know, but I will say, and you know it, and I know it, when they signed Varane and Cristiano, this was a top 4, we're going to win the league club. And now that team, whatever the version of that team there was, is gone, and it's not going to happen. Like, it's lost. They have disappeared.
I still think they of Arsenal, West Ham, Spurs, United, and you have to say Wolves because they just beat them. I think United are comfortably the most likely to finish in 4th out of that group.
I don't think so anymore. I did when I looked at the schedule, but now I don't think so.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, they've still got a game in hand on Arsenal and West Ham, so it basically erase the deficit that they have. Their biggest competition is Spurs, which that wasn't a joke, right? Like, I genuinely think it's between Spurs and United for 4 at this point.
Well, here's the thing. Like, remember we were talking about all those games, right? The easy games that they had, Brentford, Brighton, now canceled. So they didn't get those easy gimmies. They drew against Newcastle. That was supposed to be a gimme.
Yeah.
They did beat Burnley, fine. But now they have West Ham coming up, Burnley, Southampton, Leeds. Yeah, they still have the shit schedule still. I mean, it's just like, how do they not fucking get this done?
I'm not too concerned about them. They have left points on the table. And by the way, so is Spurs recently.
Yeah, but that draw you guys got was a win. You got that. I mean, that was not.
Oh, it wasn't a win because I bet on them to win, and they don't give you moral
right.
victories.
But you had a whole half with a man down. Like,
that was tough. That was tough.
You know what? You still need Eriksen. I hear he's available.
Yeah, he is for free.
Yeah, except if he dies on the field.
Except if he dies, and you have a bit of an insurance mess on your hands. Yeah, no, I mean, oh
God.
Look. Give me one game for United. I forget exactly who they were canceled. So they're 2 in the hole. They're only 1 on their top 4 rivals, if you will, and like I said, 1 less than Spurs as far as games in hand.
I think the question is like,
I always focus on that too much. By the way,
are they? No, yeah. Are they better than West Ham as a team?
Yes.
No,
I think they are.
As a unit, no fucking chance. No way.
You know why? West Ham
do not have Ronaldo.
They're still in Europe. They don't have a Ronaldo, and as a function of Europe, they're going to get and with all the games that they're going to have to make up in the back half of the year, they are going to be taxed a lot. United is going to be able to weather that storm way more comfortably, and
there's nothing that has shown this season that unit of 15, 16 players has in them to play as a unit and win games without De Gea saving their ass and Cristiano maniacally trying to get goals for himself.
This is what I'm talking about. I don't think it takes that much more to finish ahead, that much more than literally that to finish ahead of Spurs, West Ham, and Arsenal. I genuinely don't.
We have to. I think we have to assume we have to assume that Arteta, who I put in as coach of the year for the first half. Sorry.
It's fair. Mine would have been
that Arteta is improving that team, that they will beat anyone beneath them. Right?
All right.
And that Spurs are now at a real top 4. Like, they're at Pochettino, middle Pochettino era.
Not a top
not
Pochettino,
ascendant,
but they're close.
But middle Pochettino.
Yeah,
the 80-point Pochettino team.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Or maybe even the 78 teams, right?
That's fair.
It's going to be, if you get to 70, 75, you're going to get 75 would be killer, because I think Chelsea will finish on 75. Like, they're going to slip. Yeah. But if you get to 70, you're going to get that 4th place team.
I mean, the thing that I still have reservations about with Spurs, and you saw it 2 games in a row now, including one where they didn't have equal competition for a half, or a full half.
Is things like that happen, right? The non-finishing stuff.
it's not even the non-finishing stuff. It's the let's play it out to the right. Oh no, let's play it out to the left. They're literally abandoning the entire middle of the field because they
they don't have a
anyone.
passer.
They don't have anyone. They don't have a locksmith, as they say, right? They don't have anybody.
Isn't it?
Who's got some patience?
It's supposed to be Lo Celso, right?
Yeah, don't even get me started with him, man. No, it's supposed to be Ndombele. It's not. It's supposed to be Ndombele, right? And so the weird thing is that they look, as much as we'll say they miss Eriksen, what they miss is Moussa Dembele, because Moussa Dembele
that's 5 years ago, though, dude.
Yeah, dude, that's my fucking point. No, it was 3 years ago. It was
what
January.
What about this? Play Kane as the 10. Just do it. Do it.
Go buy Lukaku. Let him let him come back with
content.
Made
a joke about that. Just play Bergwijn, Son, and Mora, and let Kane play deep.
Yeah,
he's not. Yes, he's a finisher, but he's the one. He doesn't need to be in the box trying to fucking get his head on things and all that shit.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that his instinct is he's a tremendous passer, and I've said that a million times on the show. But I still want him being. If you think about the two low blocks,
is he challenging Iheanacho to be a 9.5?
No. Well, I think he created it before Iheanacho did, but
but does he? Is he really a 9.5?
No, he doesn't want to be. He always has become one out of necessity.
I'm making dick jokes. You're not going with me on it. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God damn it. We don't rehearse these bits. You just come at me with them. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ.
You're supposed to get my callbacks at Iheanacho and being a 9.5.
No, I remember, but Jesus Christ. I'm sitting here going through my Tottenham PTSD and you're making dick jokes, man. I'm not on it. They're good dick jokes.
I know. They're football dick jokes.
That's why Iheanacho wears long shorts. I get it.
I know. I'm trying to bring in other teams to the party. I want all the fans involved. I'm ready to talk about Brighton and McAllister and the whole gang. I'm ready for all of it.
Good.
But yeah, I hear you. I hear you on Spurs and trying to get that creative player. And I think that's always going to be a problem with Conte because it needs to come from the wing backs, and your wing backs are not good enough.
No, it's weird.
I think Reguilón is the right one, but maybe not yet.
So, and Emerson has never played wing back. He's 22 years old. He's doing a fine job, I think.
His crossing is a little shaky.
Yeah, he's not okay, but
he's not Trent Alexander-Arnold or Cancelo. Yeah,
every fucking time somebody buys a fullback, they're like, "Is he the best? Is he? Yeah, he's crossing pretty good. Yeah, he'll have the occasional assist. Oh my!" And they do one thing in the first 6 weeks of their tenure at the team. They're like, "Holy shit, this guy's unbelievable."
He's just all right. Yeah,
he's pretty good. Every fullback, including Trent, including Cancelo, is a liability somewhere. Yeah. Or they're gonna have dips in form, or what? Like, remember that 18-month period where Trent Alexander-Arnold looked like he was one of the guys from fucking Space Jam that the Monstars took all their fucking talent. He was Charles Barkley. In fact, no, forget Space Jam. He's just Charles Barkley playing golf, right? That's what he looked like for a full year and a fucking half.
Yeah.
And now he's back to world class again.
Can you get Trippier back? I think he's available,
dude. I mean.
He's going to Newcastle, $25 million.
Some weird shit happened on the way out there, and I always wanted to know more about that.
He got in trouble. What happened was he got busted for gambling and some Spanish rules, and they put him on the bench. And then
no, I didn't mean it at Atletico. Yeah, but I remember that when he left Tottenham, he said some shit going out the door. But by the way,
anti-Semitic towards Levy?
No, I wish more. I wish it was about Levy. It was about how he alluded to Pochettino, and there was a sort of a disconnect there, and he was his guy. He was the one who played him over Kyle Walker near the end, and he's the one that basically Kyle Walker threw a hissy fit in the last game at White Hart Lane because he wouldn't play him, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm going to City." But no, I don't know what happened there. But it was also that was calcified Pochettino. So who the fuck really knows?
Can I talk about West Ham versus Crystal Palace, because That was a fun game. It was loud. There was no Gallagher. It made me sad. But West Ham scored some freaking badass goals. Lanzini with the 3-touch.
How about
big
him?
bang boom into the top corner.
Yeah.
Why don't Spurs get him?
Because he's on West Ham. Nah, not anymore. He's not. He's had 2-3 good games in a row here.
Yeah, but you could get Fornals instead. One of those fucking guys is available. Anyway,
you know West Ham isn't going to give us a pot to piss in.
I know. But I like that game because one, Chelsea, Crystal Palace were really dominant. There was another one of these bullshit handballs. Luka Milivojevic is on his own, takes a couple touches at the edge of the box. It hits his hand. They went to VAR to review and be like, oh, handball penalty. I was like, is this what we want? Nobody wants this.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants that. Anyway, that goes back to our previous thing. But a fun game, and West Ham get back off on. They're riding the schneid. They are schneiding it up. So they schneid. They live another day. They're up 3-1, but it got a little bit hairy for them. I like Crystal Palace a lot. Like even without my guy Gallagher, they're good. And I think Vieira was one of these guys where it's like, is he going to be here 3 months and get fired, or is he going to be there for 3 years? I think he's past he's going to get fired in 3 months period. So he'll just be there for 3 years now, hanging out. And there's a lot of like Arsenal sharks floating in the water, all trying to like get that. I feel like there's like a secret thing of like who's going to get the City job brewing that's going around. And I alluded to it. I made a joke. These United fans that are like, some guy talked about Phil Jones having the United DNA, wanting to win because he played so well. I'm like,
you mean Ole?
Yeah, exactly. But like he showed the fight, like the ephemeral United way thing that goes on that comes up. And some City fans like, will you stop with the DNA? I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We're going to be talking about DNA after we fucking poach fucking Graham Potter from Everton after he wins the FA Cup. And we're going to be like lamenting that Cole Palmer has the DNA from Pep after he had 2 injury-riddled seasons at Blackburn. Like, we're going to do it too. So don't fucking hammer on people for DNA. We're going to be like, Pep DNA is going to be like our thing in the 2025s, 2030s. Like, does he have the Pep DNA? I'm like, oh God. While we're like running through Arteta and Graham Potter gets fired. And we're like, what's happening? I'm like, because Pep was fucking amazing. And we're going to be talking about Pep DNA for fucking ever. And I just know it's going to happen. And I'm afraid.
No, that's fair.
Like you have guys that are like Poch DNA. You're living off it still. You're like Sonny and Kane. They still got the Poch DNA.
Yeah.
Oh God. Nuno didn't have the Poch DNA.
No,
he gave you guys like identity in this little like captured moment that now becomes your identity for like the next 10 years until you get another.
We talked about it, and I'll do it again real quick, but it was basically the ethos of the club plus success. Very rarely.
This is the only thing that matters. It's all bullshit.
No. But like that was the thing, is that it wasn't, right? And it was like AVB, and it was all these like managers who, by the way, AVB wasn't that bad of a manager.
No, he was. Well,
for what he had, I mean, he had Gareth Bale though. That was fun. He
did do the Bale 7. That was under his watch. Okay, 6, 7.
Fair. Well, yeah, fair. But I mean, you could argue that. I mean, okay, no, I'm not going to.
Don't talk to me about fucking Paulinho and fucking.
No, I was just going to talk about Ericsson and Lamela a bunch.
And Lamela, Coco, how's he doing?
He's doing well. He's hurt again. I'm pretty sure,
okay.
But you know, he was crushing it. He had like 5 goals in the first like 3 games.
He would have got a red in that Liverpool game.
Oh, he would have got a red. He would have got a red, and if he played, I would have made a lot of money on it.
Coco Lamela just fucking squaring up to Mane and just trying to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that would have been fucking legendary.
Yeah, I love, you know what? Let's take a step. I'm going to take a step back. You know what's great about our sort of football growth? We're starting to have weird history with guys, and it's starting to like have time. I'm just like, wow, I looked at something. I'm like, I watched Alvaro Negredo play. That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's feeling good. It's like I'm starting to get like my Don Mattingly's. Like that's
right. We've got our old contextual value now.
Right. I'm like, David Silva was so good.
Yeah.
All right, that was
Hey, let's keep it with a callback, throwback, if you will, and let's talk about how it's the first game that you alluded to it in the open that Gerrard loses, where you're like, right?
Oh,
Like they drop a 1-0 lead, they lose 2-1 to Brentford, and this is an inflection point for the Gerrard. I wanted to say like the Gerrard presidency, right? Because that's how it feels in Liverpool. Like
it is a little bit like a presidency, yeah.
Right, and so you have a moment where I spoke to this when he took the job. When things start to wobble, like this is where his leadership will shine through, or it will sort of be found out. And so this is, if you're a Liverpool fan, you should be watching Aston Villa the next, call it month, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what their fixtures look like. I know they're not in the whatchamacallit, the Carabao Cup. But
FA Cup this weekend. We're going to cover it on Thursday.
Right. They've got
promise to the Fan Hub crew that we'll do a full breakdown of the FA Cup. We're going to learn about weird teams, Scunthorpe, Kidderminster. I don't know if they're in it. I'm just using weird English town names.
You're just going through tube stops at this point.
Hey, man, Brentford, just a bus stop in Hounslow. Never
By
forget
the way,
it.
The best, but not close. And if you're listening to the show this deep, please let us know in our Squeaky Bum Time Facebook group what your favorite London tube stop station is. And I challenge you to do better than Cockfosters, because that one is really, really good.
It's the last stop on the district line or something like that.
Cockfosters. Every time. Oh my God. I thought my wife was going to leave me right in the middle of London because I used to yell that. No, I'm like, Cockfosters every single time.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I have particular places because I had my London time. So it's like Turnham Green, Acton Green, Chiswick Park. Those are my stops, boyo. Hammersmith.
Oh, I just meant ridiculous names, but no,
Well, Shepherd's Bush is pretty funny.
Shepherd's Bush is right there up with Cockfosters. That's good. It's good. So do us a favor. Tell us your favorite London tube stop or any city for that matter, but bonus points if it's in anywhere in Europe.
There's tons. But the Villa thing I thought was interesting about that game was both Buendia and Ings both had 5 shots. So I don't know if they're starting to get that piece together, because I think if they can connect Buendia and Ings, they'll start scoring goals.
I think that's what there was no
Mings, which was probably a problem. And with fucking Brentford, they will fight to the end and they'll get a shitty fucking set piece goal. And when they're at home, you're just not gonna get an easy win. I mean, even City had a hard time there. Everyone goes to Brentford and is like, yeah, this is gonna be fine. It's not gonna be fine. No. It's gonna be fucking hard. They're taking some skin off your forehead.
They're almost like they're new. Their new Crystal Palace. They're new.
And they're staying up, dude. They're staying up. They're on 23 points with 19 games.
But they remind me a lot of like when Palace first came up. What is that? Like 5-6 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this place is. You could hear it through the television. This place is fucking loud. And the style that they play at home, they're not afraid. They're going to punch you in the mouth. They're going to keep going. Very reminiscent of what Brentford's been doing this year. So,
by the way, another moment of our age. Palace have been up since 13-14.
Yeah, I say 6-7 years ago. Close.
They have been up since Istanbul.
Right.
The 3-3, the greatest game ever watched at work in history.
Yeah. But no, Villa play United twice in a row now. In the FA Cup and then in the league at home. They go to Old Trafford in the Cup.
They already beat. There's no reason they won't beat them again.
I'm not saying they won't, but what I'm saying is
they could lose, but I'm saying they're better coached right now.
Sure. And then Everton, which is sort of a mixed bag. They should, I think they're better than Everton. But again, these are not games, and I think that there are very few games where you look at the fixture list and you go, Aston Villa will get 3 points that day.
I don't feel that way about hardly any teams except for like mine.
Right. I sure shit don't feel that way about my team. But my point is that, again, if I were a Liverpool fan, I would be watching with a careful eye how this response comes from this.
Yeah, these are the moments, right?
2 losses on the bounce, 1 to Chelsea. Hey, it happens. They're a class team and they beat you up pretty good. But on the back of that, losing a 1-0 lead to let's call what it is. They're a promotion side. A good one, but still And now you've got a bit of a gauntlet. So I really am curious to see how they respond.
The thing about Villa, and this is really the difficult piece, is they have the second most losses in the league. Now, granted, they have no draws, but 11 losses is a fuck ton. So they're going for it, but it's one of those things. It feels like that Tottenham season where you hardly had any draws. They have no draws. They're basically the opposite of my boys in Brentford who have 9 draws. Brighton kicked fucking Everton's ass. Everton finally got their guys back. So we can now start judging Rafa Benitez again. DCL's back. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Allan was back. Doucoure is back. We can now start to judge Everton again now that they actually have their team back together. They just never had enough depth. I have a player who I watch and always think, how is he in the Premier League? And it's Michael Keane. He's fucking awful. Yeah. That dude fucks up more shit for Everton than any player I've ever seen. How he doesn't get dropped is beyond me. He's like the new Martin DiMichelis. Like, he's trying to do shit and he can't do it. And he's always trying to do it over and over again.
Martin DiMichelis. That's another one that's like, wow.
yeah, old school.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it in there. Yeah, he's got a
he was bad before
He's got a Dejan Lovren quality about him.
Ooh, always love bringing up my friend Dejan.
Oh, the fly. You know what? Remember we were talking about Liverpool games that you haven't been able to beat Spurs. I now remember vividly the game you lost. The ball goes over Lovren's head, and he tries to head it, and it's a disaster, and he falls over.
Yeah,
and I think Kane pops on it, and they just kill Lovren.
They took him off.
Like, yeah, he's the worst defender anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicol annihilated him. So all the memories are coming back to me of these weird
They took him off on the 35th minute at Wembley. It was hilarious. 4-1 Spurs that day. Oh, it's good living. It's good living.
Dejan Lovren.
Hey, look, we've got a couple minutes left.
I think we started the Champions League final.
He did. I don't want to talk about it. We've got games tomorrow. And so let's go through them. I mean, Southampton, Brentford we have. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's the 11th. I'm an idiot.
No, you don't. We have 2 weeks off. We have the FA Cup this weekend.
Well, we don't have games tomorrow. We have games Wednesday. And I should know what's Wednesday because it is a London derby in the semifinal of the Carabao Cup, which now is it's the most important trophy there is. And you know that if you've been listening to the show for a while, I am full of shit. I have always hated the EFL Cup. I always found it to be an impediment to success elsewhere for Spurs specifically. Now. You know what? Put all that shit aside. Let's go get a trophy. Let's go take it from Chelsea and Arsenal or Liverpool.
It's home. It's two legs.
Back-to-back Wednesday matches. First one this Wednesday at Stamford Bridge, and then you have FA Cup,
and then you have another one.
Yep.
That sucks. Is that what City's been doing all this time? We're fucking idiots. Yeah. What are we, stupid? No wonder we play 65 games a year. Oh, no one. Pep's a moron. Pep out. What are you doing?
Pep out.
Lose these fucking FA Cup games. Lose the Carabao Cup. We could have had 2 weeks off in the middle of the season all this time. What are we doing? 5-time champions of the Carabao Cup. Get the fuck out of here. That was
Yeah, Tottenham's gauntlet is ironically... It's weird. You got Chelsea and then Morecambe. Chelsea again.
It's Morecambe.
What an asshole I am. Morecambe. And then Arsenal and Chelsea.
Leicester.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for me on the show.
Morecambe.
No, but I mean, it's weird because I don't know. I bet you Lukaku plays and scores now. I bet that fucking happens.
He's not going to play in that fucking game.
Why not?
Because they fucked him. It's going to be a disaster now.
Why wouldn't you run him out there, or at least have him available?
Because Tuchel's an asshole. Have you heard? You missed me ranting about how much bitching those two fucking Germans did.
Oh my god, I know. Don't get me started. But the thing
incredible.
This is an olive branch, right? It's basically him saying, "Yeah, go prove it," right? Like it was Mourinho putting Dele Alli on the first team for the Europa League against who gives a shit, right? Like that's basically what this is. And so you basically have Tuchel going, no, here you go. Here's your start. Here's your, like I said, olive branch against the Tottenham side that is going to take this game very seriously. but I don't know how seriously Chelsea's going to take it.
I just want you to know that you were playing a team in Morecambe called the Shrimps.
Okay.
So
all right.
There's dick jokes.
There's a lot. There's a lot of.
They have a shrimp on their fucking crest.
Oh, fantastic! I'm a big fan of Morecambe, and their name sounds like Morecambe. It's a little ironic for the shrimp thing, but
woo! 9.5. I didn't even talk about Neil Maupay and their
guys.
new
I think
recruit,
that's
Mr. McAllister and his new goals. He scored 2 for Brighton, and he's got his own set of wipes now.
I'm pretty sure that's a new show record for dick jokes. I think we're at like 10, 11.
Nazis out, dicks in.
Dicks in.
I'm doing it. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode or a shrimp. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show so that we can grow. And thank you to all the Fan Hub people. Thank you to everyone. We'll be covering the FA Cup on Thursday.
Dicks.